Hi there. I want you to just imagine this. Let's say you walk into a room and two coworkers were talking, but immediately you entered, they stopped. One glanced at you and looked away. That awkward look may stir up a lot of things in your body, in your mind, and you may begin to think possibly they were talking about you, and when they saw you, they decided to stop. Possibly they just don't like you, or you have messed up. You did something wrong and they were discussing. The reality is that nothing was said to you. No one actually told you there was a problem. But because of the situation, you begin to feel in a certain way and your body will immediately react. Welcome to the Streams of Emotions. I'm your host, Moses. You can call me Mo for short, and I'm really glad you are here with me again. In our previous episode, we learned about how emotional habits such as struggling to ask for help, difficulties in expressing love, and the guilt people have when they rest and even be vulnerable may not always necessarily be because of an individual's personality, but also because of the environment to which one grew up. That was for last week. And in this episode, I want you to understand that your feelings may be true, but they are not always accurate. This is the central focus of this episode. The mere fact that you are having a particular kind of feelings doesn't necessarily mean that it's true to the situation. Back to the situation where I cited, or the scenario I cited earlier. The mere fact that all those thoughts came into mind, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is the actual thing that is happening. Possibly when they saw you entering, they decided to look at who entered the room. And that is why they looked at you. One looked at you and looked away because you are not their focus actually. There is something that psychologists call emotional reasoning, and this is how it works. It's how we try to reason into a situation and have a feeling in response to that situation. So the feeling becomes a proof of reality. That is the main emphasis of the emotional reason. Your feeling becoming a proof of reality. So it's like this way. If I feel anxious, then the reality is that there is something dangerous, something is happening. That is why I'm feeling anxious. If I feel guilty, that it means I've done something terrible. Or if I feel lonely, it means that nobody really cares about me. So emotional reason try to find ways, information to explain the outside world by giving an inward impression. Okay, so that is our emotional reason. So it uses an inner impression to justify an outward conclusion. That is emotional reason. The other side of emotional reasoning is that the information that your feelings may present, even when it doesn't support the actual situation, you are most likely going to stand it as you a fact. But it was just a feeling, and that is how emotional reasoning can be a bit dangerous at times. I'll talk a bit about this later on. Neurosciences have added a bit of layer to these emotional reasons, and one of the persons or the individuals really known for this part is Lisa Friedman. And Lisa Friedman theorized what we call the constructed emotions. And what a constructed emotion does is that our brain suggests a perceived reality and gives it an emotional response. And this emotional response, in line with the perceived reality, may be based on some factors. And one, it will be based on what the body is reacting or what the body is telling you. And two, what is happening around you. So there may be things happening around you. Your emotions can just speak signals of what is around you and give you a particular kind of constructed emotion, or the stories and the concept that has happened over your lifetime. And that is all about your experiences. Putting all these three together is mostly about your experiences. What this suggests is that your brain does not only react to the situation, but it predicts and interprets based on what it has learned before. This is the point. Your brain is not just recording life, it is constantly guessing what life means, particularly to you. So, if in the past you were taught that silence means rejection, then silence today may feel like rejection, even when it is not. Do you get what I'm presenting to you? If your past has taught you that correction means incompetence, it means humiliation, it means an insult, then feedback today may feel like an attack maybe of your personality, your integrity, your competence, or so on. If your past taught you that love is unstable, then whenever there is small changes in someone's behavior, particularly your loved ones, you may feel like they are going to abandon you. Why? Because that is what the information the brain is used to. Therefore, the emotion will try to predict something else when there is anything in alignment with the acquired experiences. So, emotions are true about your inner world to most extent. They are true about your needs, they are true about your fears, they are true about your memories, but they are not automatically true about other situations or the outer world. I mean, talking about what people think or what will happen next or what is happening now, it may not always be true. Let me give you more practical example that most of us may relate with. Let's say that you send a long, vulnerable message to a friend and hours go by, no reply. How do you think you feel? Well, it depends, but depending on experiences of people, mostly people will feel anxious, embarrassed. Then the emotion will start to generate a story. Oh, I overshared. Or they think I'm being too much. Or it wasn't that necessary. Or I've ruined the friendship. Or I shouldn't have shared this. I should have kept it to myself. These are all thoughts that may come to us at a point in time. Let's look at the possible realities. Maybe they were in a meeting and or they were mentally drained or they forgot to hit a send to their response, which it happens to almost all of us at some point in time. Or maybe due to the sensitivity of the situation, they just wanted to have enough time to respond to you. But your emotional reason, wanting to justify your feeling of anxiety based on the previous experience, will try to give you an evidence that may tell you that you've messed up, even though that may not actually be the reason. Let me give you another scenario. So let's say that you're at work and your manager, your supervisor, gives you a feedback about a number of corrections to be effected or to be done with the work that you submitted. And possibly it was even done within a shorter period of time. I've sometimes experienced this, particularly in my research journey. Sometimes you get the feedback from supervisors or you get a feedback from reviewers, and it can make you feel bad about it. You also, when these things happen, the most emotions, likely emotions that may happen is you feel bad, you feel down, you may have worries and concerns and those things. Why? Because it's telling you a story that maybe you are not competent, maybe you are not good enough. Maybe you're going to even lose your job. Maybe they will not accept your people. Maybe. So, because you are feeling that emotion, you are having a story that's is going to align with your emotion. But the reality may be that simply they are doing their job. Possibly that was what they were doing, or they were helping you to improve. But it's easier for the brain to emotionally reason and give a story. You see, that is why I mentioned earlier, the brain usually wants to use mental shortcuts. And one of the mental shortcuts is confirmation bias. So it will notice an information to support your current emotional state, just to prove that the story your emotions are telling you is true. And so, what can we do? So basically, we need to learn how to notice our emotions. When you feel a particular kind of anxiety, a particular kind of emotion, you need to pause and ask yourself, what else could this mean? Remember, emotional reason will present particularly one emotion and related emotional story. But you need to ask yourself, what else could this mean? And try, if possible, to come up with at least three possibilities. Let's say with a delay reply, you can say that, oh, it's because they were overwhelmed with work. Or they read it, but they wanted to get back to me at a convenient time. Or they just forgot to reply. They will get back to me at a particular time. Or maybe you can say that they are struggling mentally or they are withdrawing from everyone, not just me. There are a number of reasons that you can think about. What you do with generating alternative is that it helps you view the situation not from your perspective alone, but also from the perspective of the other persons who are involved. So it helps you to put yourself in the shoes of others so that your brain can reason and not overreact. So that is all for today. Remember that your feelings may be true, but they are not always accurate. This is because your brain doesn't just seek to understand reality, it creates an emotional response based on your previous experiences. And so, don't permit what you feel to always be the conclusion of a reality. Next time on the streams of emotions, we will look at the influence of emotional awareness in our life. Thank you for joining me, and until we meet next time, learn about your emotions, listen to them, and use them productively instead of allowing them to manipulate you. Have a wonderful time. Bye.